So we have a whole bunch of numbers. The number for this cube right here is 1 turn. We have a whole bunch of numbers. Out of all these numbers, I want to pick the biggest. I want to find the worst scrambled a cube could possibly be. The furthest from solved a cube could possibly be. Whatever that number is called God's number. Okay? The furthest from solved it could possibly be is called God's number. So the question is, what is God's number? And well, you might say to find God's number, what if we just analyze every single position of the cube, find the most efficient way to solve each of those, and then just pick the biggest number, right? So in order to do that, you kind of have to have a sense of how many different scrambles there are for this puzzle. So this one slide was the math-heavy page that we're skipping. But suffice it to say, it's just a multiplication principle. You're just multiplying. You see some very familiar-looking factorials here. There are some funny there's a division by 2. That's the math-heavier part. That 3 to the 7, there's no 7s in this puzzle. That's kind of weird that it's a 7 and not an 8. Kind of weird that that's an 11 and not a 12. See me afterwards if you wish. But we multiply in just the right order, and we get this number, 43. What's the name of the 43 what?
Quintillion.
Quintillion. 43 quintillion. So Niels' talk, we heard about a billion and a million. So on his scale, we had right, this line right here, and then a billion was right here. And then we don't get to just go here, because that would be 2 billion, right? And this would be like 3 billion. So you know, a few miles down the road, we're at the next, what's after billion? Trillion. And then it's not just another few miles down the road, right? It's a few copies of it's many copies of the few miles that we just walked to get to after trillion, quadrillion, and then the next order of magnitude. Okay, logarithmic scale. I give you this one, Niels. Logarithmic scale is way better, but 43 quintillion is a massive number. So, can we use a computer to find God's algorithm for every single cube state? For a 2 by 2 by 2 cube, a smaller cube, yes, this problem was solved. They churned through all 3.6 million different scrambles of the 2 by 2 cube and found the magic number is 11. Every single 2 by 2 scramble can be solved in 11 turns or fewer. Doesn't mean if you give it to me, I could solve it in 11 turns or fewer. But there is a solution that is 11 turns or fewer. For a 3 by 3 by cube, no. And really like super no. I mean, like not even close. No. If a computer could analyze 1,000 cube states every second, which I don't think it could, it would take over 1 billion years to analyze all this. So this is not a matter of we'll just let the computer run for a while, right? It is not feasible to do this. So instead, we need to kind of be smart about it. We've got mathematics, computer science. For some reason, we've got gardening implements involved here. I don't understand that. But anyway, some really smart folks have worked for a long time on this particular problem, and they have solved it. And I'll say this, they came up with a process by which they were going to solve this, a computer program, very efficient to try to solve this problem. If they had run this process on just a kind of powerful desktop computer, they estimated it would have taken about 35 years of computer time. They didn't have 35 years to wait, so they applied for a grant to see if they could get some, like computer time, like some serious big computer time with some money. While they were waiting for the grant to come through, Google heard about this problem that they were working on, and they said, hey, we might be able to help you out. Give us your computer program. And so they did. And Google is very secretive about the resources that they have at their disposal. But I will say that this problem that would have taken 35 years on a strong desktop computer, Google handed the solution back to them in 2 weeks and said, here you go, we got your answer. So 2 weeks, and they were good. And turns out the answer is 20. 20 moves is the furthest from solved any Rubik's Cube can be. So God's number is 20. And that problem was solved summer of last year. It was announced at U.S. Nationals in August, actually, last year at MIT. Very, very exciting. I'm sure you saw the YouTube clip. So a couple of unknown questions. We don't know how many solutions there are that are 16 moves in length. We know how many different scrambles there are that are 15. We have 43 quintillion different scrambles. We know how many of them take exactly 15 turns. We don't know how many take 16, which is very weird for us to know that 20 is the worst without knowing how many 16s there are or how many 17s there are. This is where that whole math, computer science stuff comes in. This is a difficult problem that they solved very intelligently. And so we don't know the answers to these questions because we didn't find the best solution for every single state. And we don't know the God's number for cubes that are bigger. I would like to say that this problem is not going to be solved for a long time, but what's the name of the computing law that says that something doubles?
Moore's law.
Moore's law. So I don't have a sense. I mean, if computing power doubles every so often, then maybe we'll get a solution sooner rather than later. Okay, so let's now watch some videos. So here is we'll just show a couple of these. Progression of the Rubik's Cube world record. We'll make that bigger.
Mike Birbiglia.
So it's funny. Actually, I don't mind that this advertisement is here because it means this video has been watched so many times, right? So many times that they thought it would be good to put an advertisement on it and make some money. So I think that's pretty cool. So we'll pause it right here. This is Erik Akersjijk from the Netherlands. This was a tournament back in 2008. Watch for the tribute to the Blair Witch Project.
Yes!
That was 7.08 seconds. That was the world record set back in 2008, and it was a pretty big jump from the previous record to this one. Now, no records were broken. The single solved record was not broken between 2008 and 2010, which is quite a long time because we have tournaments every single weekend, and there are some people, not me, I'm never going to get a 7. Luckiest, I will never get a 7. But there are some people that have a chance, kind of every time they have an official solve, have a chance to break that record. So this was a long time for that record to stand. So now we meet Felix Zemdegs from Australia in 2010. Broke that record.
How old is he?
He definitely doesn't have better things to do.
Okay, so that record stood for 2 years. And then Felix broke it. And then a few hours later, Felix broke it again.
Is there a standard for how many steps you do this?
Good question.
How do you there's one
That's not solved. Look at that.
All right. Okay, a couple of questions. We'll answer these questions. How do we mix it up to make it fair for everybody? I would take my solved cube, bring it up to the referee. The referee would apply a list of 25 random turns. Computer generates a list of 25 moves that they will apply to my cube. And they will apply to your cube as well. Same 25 moves, which means we are starting with exactly the same configuration. It's the fairest we can make it. That's all that we can do. Second round, different set of 25 moves, but everybody gets that set of 25 moves. Okay, you can look at this and complain. There was less of a reaction here because he broke the record a couple hours before. It was whatever. The tolerance before a penalty sets in is 45 degrees off. So if you are less than 45 degrees off, no problem. If you are more than 45 degrees, that is a plus 2 second penalty. For me, that's like 10%, but here it's 25% penalty or something. So that's solved enough for us.
Do you use your own cube?
You do use your own cube. So you bring it in. We're going to jump ahead. He broke it again. He broke it again. Nobody else broke it. This is just Felix. I'm not only showing you Felix. I'm showing you all of them.
How old is he then?
Felix was 14 in that video. He's 15 now. So we're going to jump ahead. Take a look at this date right here. When was this? 5 days ago. So Saturday. So last week, so I knew I was going to give this, and I knew I had to update my spreadsheet, or my PowerPoint. And last week my wife said, have you updated it yet? I said, no, but Felix is going to be in a tournament this weekend, and I just want to make sure that I don't waste my time with old records. And so here he is, breaking his own record just this past Saturday. Now this video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to show this to you. I think this is kind of cool actually. In slow motion, just so you have a sense of what's happened.
You already flipped it, but
What happened? As soon as you lift your hands off the yellow pad,
right,
the clock starts. So that time to pick it up counts. Yeah. And then he'll finish, and the time won't stop until he touches the yellow again. He is doing exactly the same steps as I was doing, as I was showing you. Way faster. There's a dexterity component here. His hands will turn faster than mine ever will, regardless of how much I practiced. Probably more importantly, he is able to very fluidly move from one step to the next. He can follow these pieces as he's doing these moves in crazy fast speeds, and then just transition one moment to the next.
He doesn't have arthritis yet.
No, he doesn't.
Whoa.
6.18.
Wait. Yeah, but you can hit the button.
6.18. Alrighty. Later on Saturday. So before I show this, I'm just going to put myself out there and say that I think this record is going to stand for a long time. That is my guess. I don't think there's anybody besides Felix that has any chance of breaking this anytime soon, but I really think that Felix kind of outdid himself with this one.
Come on.
I'll watch it again. Great. You're not going to let me down here, right? Ozzy. Yes, I know.
Just a thought about your prediction that it'll stand for a good while. Given that the starting position is determined randomly by 25 moves, I guess I'm not. What is the standard deviation in the level of difficulty of those starting positions? I mean, he might get lucky some year with a relatively simple.
Yeah, it's a very good question. There has been much debate amongst the Cuban community about how we should scramble. And is 25 moves good? Is random moves good? Or should we try to have some other goal besides randomness? There are some stipulations. If the cube is too solved after the scramble, they'll just toss that scramble out. Now, it's never happened for a 3x3 scramble, but there have been a couple of instances for the 2x2 scramble where after you apply the random moves, the bottom half of the puzzle is done. Okay, that's clearly a problem. It's never happened here. Given that there are 43 quintillion different ones of these, you'd have to get a darn unlucky set of 25 random turns for it to look anything like less than chaos. So I don't think it's a problem. Yes?
So another question. Given that we're dealing with hundredths of a second in these records, the standard retail plastic cube is fairly cheaply manufactured. I mean, if you commission, one with finely machined metal parts or something that would turn better, and would that improve your speed significantly? And that's not cheating, right? I mean, you bring your own cube.
You bring your own cube. You lube your cube. Like this has been lubed, so it makes it turn nicer. You can do a lot of things with the cube. For very few people in the world, even with the finest cube equipment out there, would have any hope of doing this. So the other thing I'll say is that Felix is so far ahead. Here's the statistics. I'll show you. Felix is so far ahead of us that it hardly matters what anybody else has. Do you guys recognize this picture?
Usain Bolt.
That's Usain Bolt in the Beijing Olympics from 2008. He was destroyed the field in the 100-meter dash, won the gold medal, broke the world record, got chastised by some of the media for celebrating too early, right? Has his arms out before like the last 10 meters celebrating because he's got the gold wrapped up. This race was won by 2% in terms of the time. He was 2% less time than the second place person, and this was destroyed, right? Not close. So Felix's best single salt is 18% less time than his closest competitor, and that 18% I could make it look better because actually Felix's time, the second place guy's time is 24% faster than slower than Felix's. So it's like I'm showing you the least skewed number here. And just to give you a sense of how much better he is than the rest of us, we'll pull up some statistics, potentially. There they are. These are the fastest times ever. I showed you some of them. Felix is first, second, third, fourth, tied for fourth. 6th, 7th, 8th, Roe Hessler from?
Go Roe.